Godzilla games. I love them, you love them, probably. Everybody loves them. Well, maybe not. But I think one thing we can all agree on is that we are long overdue for a new Godzilla game. And I don't mean some mobile game or DLC crossover, though that one is very good and appreciated, please play Gigabash. I mean a full-fledged Godzilla arena fighting game a la the Pipeworks trilogy, aka the GOAT of Godzilla games. Don't test me! I'm sorry I got passionate there. This is a topic I touched on very early on in my channel's life. In fact, it was my second ever video, almost 2 years ago now. This is something I am very passionate about and can talk about for hours without tiring. Godzilla is my favorite media franchise ever, and the property has grown to a monstrous size, pun obviously intended, over the last decade. It used to be something I'd say most people knew about but never really cared for, but now it's an actual respected household name, and I am so glad to be living in this timeline. We're consistently getting new movies, some shows and anime, and an infinite number of new collaborations left and right. Those are all things I'm so happy about. Keep them coming. I love it. But there is just one thing that's missing, and it's a brand new Godzilla game. It has been a very long time since the last big installment in Godzilla's game history, and quite frankly, the wait has been exhausting. But it might not be too much longer now, at least relative to what we've waited already, so let's talk about what we might get and when we'll get it. But before we do, if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I talk about a variety of games here, so I hope you stick around. Or if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. Either way, please be sure to give the video a like, it seriously helps a ton to get it out to more people, and subscribe to the channel. We just passed 2,700 subscribers, thank you guys so much, we are closing in on that big 3K. But anyways, I appreciate you giving me your time, and let's get into it. This year, the big 2025, marks 10 years since Godzilla for the PS4 came out in North America. And around this time, 10 years ago, I remember begging my parents for a PlayStation 4 because I just had to play this game. Everything I watched on YouTube was this game. Trailers, playthroughs, reviews, all of it. I was obsessed. I eventually got the console and the game, and played it day in and day out, enjoying every second of it. Until I had to fight Biollante because, oh my god, would you stop f***ing charging? Well, maybe we could just chalk that up to a skill issue. I was, in fact, a child with underdeveloped gamer senses. I would obviously breeze through this game were I to play it today. Let's not kid ourselves here, guys. Right? But my point is that my anticipation of getting this game was unlike anything else. I've only felt this for a couple other releases in gaming, just this overwhelming, childlike excitement that takes over your thoughts on a daily basis, and you just can't help but count down the days until it arrives. Now, in retrospect, can I honestly say that Godzilla for the PS4 deserved that much of my excitement and adoration? Yes and no. I definitely prefer the playstyle of the Pipeworks games, which are the games I grew up with for the most part. It's a bit hard to make a proper assessment on the game now because I'm no longer in possession of it due to my dumbass trading it in at GameStop for approximately the value of I don't know, like 2 mini M&M's tubes, so I only have memory to serve me. I can't buy it digitally since it's been delisted, supposedly from licensing issues, and I don't want to buy the disc again because holy shit, this isn't even the worst price I've seen for it. And yeah, don't ask why I traded it in back then. I basically traded everything in once I moved on to the next thing. Yeah, I don't do that. But, you know, the game itself, it played slow and clunky, it became repetitive pretty quickly, the combat wasn't that deep, and I get what they were trying to go for, capturing the look and feel of the old school films, and if you're basing the game's quality off that, I think it's good. I don't know how much sense I'm gonna make here, but for me, I don't think that's something that needed to be translated to a game format, or maybe it just needed to be executed better. Gaming is a medium where quite literally anything is possible, and basically capping a game's potential to what can more or less be done on a movie set with practical effects, I think it can be a hindrance to the game. Now, obviously it's not a one-to-one comparison, and this is absolutely not something I'm trying to take away from the films. So much hands-on work went into these projects, and they exude so much charm and passion. They are genuinely very impressive on the front of practical effects, suit design, miniature sets, everything like that. I grew up watching these films, my lifelong love for this franchise is cemented in them. It's just that I'm not sure this should have been our priority when making the game, and if you're asking me, a Godzilla game should do what the old movies couldn't. Again, I don't know how much sense I'm making making here, and even after saying all this, I can't help but look back on the good times I had with this game. Was it my ideal Godzilla game?
I don't really want this.
But I think the most important thing this game did for me was allow me the opportunity to be excited for an upcoming Godzilla game. I was born in the middle of when the Pipeworks games were coming out, so I never was a part of whatever hype seasons they had. I never got the chance to be excited over an upcoming release for a Godzilla game and to speculate what it will be like and just consume all the media surrounding it until it came out. That is what Godzilla for the PS4 did for me, and I've held on to that feeling ever since, now 10 years later, where I am so excited to be excited about a new Godzilla game. Though I'll admit that this excitement has made me perhaps a tad bit delusional. Literally, like every big gaming conference and presentation, there's this brainworm telling me that this will finally be the one. We will finally be free from this purgatory of waiting. Because it genuinely feels like we're getting to a point where it can be any day now. Like I said before, the popularity of Godzilla has absolutely skyrocketed in the last decade. We're getting more Godzilla today than at any other point in the franchise's history, so a full-fledged next-gen Godzilla game seems like an inevitability. It's like the one thing the franchise is missing at this point. We're getting new, highly successful films on a consistent basis, some TV shows and anime, an endless amount of toys and collectibles, new comic book runs, new collaborations on what feels like a daily basis, thrilling ride attractions, and you can't forget about the hot sauce. We're just missing that big new video game. Look, I know the PS4 game was not well received, but Toho, come here. Listen to me. Don't let that bum you out, man. Look at all the success you've had since then. The people love what you've made, and they've been waiting patiently. It's time. Make the damn game. Now, this begs the question of what this game will be and when we can expect it. Well, I sort of brought it up earlier, but I definitely want something more in line with the Atari Pipeworks Godzilla games. This is a trilogy of Godzilla Arena Brawler games that came out in the 2000s, and they make up a large amount of my gaming memories. They were developed by Pipeworks, which just so happened to be the first games the studio had ever developed. Since then, they moved on to co-developing other hit titles such as Wreck-It Ralph for the Wii, the Madden games, some COD games, and last and also least, Concord.
Almost dying is the best way to learn how not to die.
But seriously though, they were cooking with these games. Each installment built off the last, adding new mechanics, creating more of a storyline, and of course, including more and more monsters. These games are over the top, goofy, destructive, and really creative and passionate in their portrayal of our favorite kaiju. But most importantly, they're fun. Like, really freaking fun. Maybe I'm just looking at these games through rose-tinted lenses, but they're just so damn charming. I grew up playing Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee on the GameCube, so that's the one I usually go back to. I never had a PS2 or Xbox to play Godzilla Save the Earth, but I've been able to play it the last couple years, and I'd say it's probably the best of the three games because it properly builds off what was established in the previous one. Though Godzilla Unleashed, the last game in the series, has an even bigger roster and grander story than Save the Earth, the Wii motion controls for the game are a bit of a tough sell. That and the physics became floatier and the combat lost some of the impact that the previous two games had. It just felt like giant monster slap fights, whereas the combat in Destroy All Monsters Melee and Save the Earth felt more like citywide MMA matches. I guess it's a personal preference, but nonetheless, I still really enjoyed Godzilla Unleashed. These games don't take themselves too seriously, and they don't try to be realistic. I know we're talking about giant radioactive monsters here, but would you ever expect any of them to be pulling moves like this? At this point, that answer might be yes. And Final Wars is a thing too, and the Showa films, so yeah, dumb question, never mind. But even then, this stuff is still insane compared to some of the wildest things seen in the movies. It goes into what I was saying earlier about taking advantage of the gaming medium to do things the films couldn't or maybe shouldn't do. This is why a game like Gigabash clicks with many people who have played the Pipeworks games. It's practically a spiritual successor to them, even more so since they've added Godzilla and Ultraman characters to the roster over the last couple years. It's not a clone of the Pipeworks games. Gigabash absolutely has its own identity, but you can't deny the inspiration from the games that preceded it either. I suggest anyone who is looking for a modern Godzilla game to check out Gigabash and its DLCs. It is genuinely a very fun and charming game. But obviously, that's not enough. We want the real deal, and I feel like there is no better time than now to get the real deal. There are more Godzilla fans than ever, especially younger fans. There is a whole generation being raised on the MonsterVerse movies and now the new Toho films. Their parents are, for the most part, buying them them all the toys and media surrounding Godzilla, which make up a lot of the property's profits. A lot of the franchise's revenue does not come strictly from the box office for the films. Toys and merchandise sales keep the money coming long after the films have had their theatrical runs. They're like the property's backbone. Video games are a part of that, or at least adjacent to it, and I would wager that this new generation of Godzilla fans alone has a pretty sizable interest in gaming. I know that the game I'm envisioning would be a financial commitment with a decently sized budget, but I think that there wouldn't be an insane risk of the game failing given the heightened popularity of Godzilla and as long as it's a fun game that's marketed properly. Or, if Toho really wants to be conservative with it, they could have Pipeworks remaster and port over their trilogy of games and see how that goes. I would honestly love for that to happen. They should do it anyway, new game in development or not. More people need to experience them. These games do not deserve to be left on abandoned hardware. I've already established that I want a new game to play more or less like Destroy All Monsters Melee and Save the Earth, with obvious things like refined controls and modern gen graphics, but what else? Well, it should go without saying, but a nice big roster is important. There were 26 playable monsters in Godzilla Unleashed, which is a fantastic number, though you might be surprised with how hard it can be to build out a well-rounded roster with that number because you need to take into consideration multiple versions of the same character that would function differently, as well as the titans from the Monsterverse and the out-of-the-blue obscure picks. For a hypothetical roster, let's work with a nice even 24 monsters, which feels like asking for too much, honestly. If you were to ask me to put one together, it will probably look something like this. You have a few different prominent versions of Godzilla, the other staple kaiju, the fan favorites, some curveball picks, and a good, perhaps gratuitous amount of Monsterverse representation. This isn't my definitive roster. I'll probably make some changes a few days from now, but I like it. It covers a majority of Godzilla's history, though it's hard not including other noteworthy monsters and other versions of the more popular ones. There were many other lesser known ones I would have loved to include as well, and of course, guest characters, but I'm getting carried away. This is an imaginary roster. I feel like a lot of people won't like Scar King and Shimo being on this list, and that's fine. I get it. Make your own list. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think of this. Beyond a great roster, what would be some other things I'd like? Well, one of my favorite things of any Godzilla game would be the story mode. I'm trying to picture in my head what I'd want it to be. I'm thinking either a strictly Godzilla-centric campaign where you only play as Godzilla in this in-depth extensive narrative, or something a bit more general like Godzilla Unleashed story mode that can mold to whatever monster you play as. I might want something like you see in a Mortal Kombat campaign or Smash Bros. Brawl's campaign mode, where you follow multiple parties of characters and swap between them at different story beats, ultimately culminating into one big clash. I might be leaning towards something like that so that players can see and play a variety of these monsters at a sort of cinematic level. Also, fun but quite cringy fact regarding Smash Bros. Remember that fighter ballot for Smash 4's DLC like 10 years ago? Would you like to take a wild guess what my dumbass filled in for the ballot? Yep.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Some other things like an arcade mode and online play would be greatly appreciated as well. Progression and rewards are very important too. Maybe you need to unlock most of the characters. Some of the previous Godzilla games had you accumulate points through the adventure mode that you'd then spend on new characters, so I can see a similar system like that in a new game as well. Maybe each character can have a mastery system where you can level up that character specifically for rewards like different looks, equipable perks, freaking emotes, I don't know. In an ideal world, we would get guest characters too. Ultraman and Gamera would be the most popular choices for crossover characters, and I would pay good money for that. Okay, all this sounds great, but when can we actually expect something like this? Well, if you came looking for a concrete answer, I don't know what to tell you. But that doesn't mean we don't have anything to go by. Earlier this year, Toho has disclosed a plan to bring themselves and their IPs on the world stage of entertainment, where they are investing billions and billions of yen to do so. A good chunk of this investing plan is dedicated entirely to Godzilla, developing new projects in film, animation, real-world attractions, and yes, gaming. This all falls under the fittingly named Godzilla strategy, where it does state that they'll be making significant investments in console games. This plan is going to be put into play over the next few years, and while it isn't a 100% guarantee on everything, it does inspire a lot of hope and excitement in me knowing what could be coming sooner rather than later. Now, would these new console games be close to the game I just described? I have no idea. I do hope the Pipeworks games, if they're not remastered and ported to modern platforms, can at least serve as inspiration for whatever comes next. It might be something on the complete opposite end, like, I don't know, we could get a fucking Godzilla cart or something. Or, and this doesn't even sound too bad in my head, like a Godzilla RPG. That would probably be like a smaller budget kind of thing, but I don't think I'd be mad at that. But obviously, I'm hoping for a new fighting game, as I imagine many of you are as well. It has been a very long time, and we are absolutely due for something. So, hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer, given what this plan has laid out. What's another 2 years, am I right? I don't know, it could be sooner, but I guess we have games like Gigabash and passion projects like Godzilla Save the Earth Melee to keep us satisfied. Save the Earth Melee is an overhaul mod for Save the Earth, adding new monsters, reinventing the combat, and making tons of exciting changes. You guys made me aware of this on my first Godzilla Games video, and I've kept an eye on it since. The team behind this is doing incredible work, so be sure to check them out. I'll link their channel in the description where you can keep up with the project's development and watch the tournaments that they host for the game. But that is where I'll leave the discussion to you guys. Have you also been anticipating a new Godzilla game? Do you like or agree with any of my ideas I shared in this video? Will there be any generators for Godzilla to approach in the next game? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and while you're doing that, if you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you gave it a like. It seriously helps a ton in getting it pushed out to more people, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I make videos surrounding a variety of games, but I'll take any chance I can to talk about Godzilla on this channel. 3,000 subscribers is coming up for us, so I'd love for you to join the team if you haven't yet. But other than that, I'd like to thank you so much for your time, have a fantastic rest of your day, and please stay tuned for more.